Toto Wolff has managed to make himself public enemy number 1 this season among the team bosses. He has put himself in the firing line by lobbying the FIA for rule changes and then insulting his colleagues for not backing him up. He's kind of like the brother you had that starts causing trouble with you, then goes crying to your mum when you fight back. He's brash, outspoken, and incredibly entertaining to watch, and because of this, he gets his fair share of stick from the other team bosses. Red Bull chief Christian Horner has revealed he knows how to get under Mercedes counterpart Toto Wolff's skin while discussing their bitter rivalry. The pair have been at odds over the past few seasons as the feud between their respective sides intensified. Tensions further increased during last season when Red Bull's Max Verstappen and Mercedes star Lewis Hamilton went head-to-head for the F1 title. Horner and Wolff locked horns once again when Verstappen controversially snatched the title from Hamilton in Abu Dhabi. This season has been no different, with Horner repeatedly taking cheeky swipes at Wolff. Recently, Horner claimed Wolff inherited his Mercedes empire, which was brushed off by the Austrian. Their rivalry sparked up again recently when Toto Wolff apparently went full Abu Dhabi spec in a team bosses meeting and lost his cool with the rest of the grid. We might not have gotten the details of that yet, but the whole thing was in front of the Netflix cameras, so be patient, we will see it soon. The reason for his outburst was apparently other team bosses telling him to sort his own car out instead of trying to get the rules changed to help his team solve the porpoising problem. Speaking about the problem after the argument, he said, "Team principals trying to play political games is disingenuous. All of the cars, not just Mercedes, suffered in some way in Baku. It's a fault in Formula 1 at the moment and it's an issue that needs to be solved. Little manipulations in the background, Chinese whispers, it's a bit difficult." While Horner and Wolff's rivalry is a hot topic for the F1 media, Christian insists that it isn't anything personal. Though, we would be interested to know if Toto agrees with that. He told the media, "It's not personal in any way. Toto is Toto, and it's very easy to pull his chain, and you can see it. Sometimes it affects him. So of course, when you're competing, and last year was so intense, and of course it was the first time he'd ever been in that situation, it's always interesting to see how people react. And when they're smashing headphones and so on, you can see that you got to them." This year though, it isn't just Horner that has apparently been pushing his buttons. It seems to be the whole grid. Mattia Binotto has been outspoken about the changes Toto is trying to get pushed through, as has Gunther Steiner and Otmar Safnauer among others. Like the battle with Christian last year, Toto has taken the team boss's opposition to him personally again. Asked during an interview whether Red Bull and Ferrari's shared stance was a way of tripping you up, Wolff replied, "I think they would rather continue to be the two of them at the top than have a third guest at the party. I think we can all agree that having one opponent is better than two, and for Red Bull and Ferrari, Mercedes' failings this season will have been enjoyable to watch. Does the shared view of Mercedes trying to get rules changed mean they don't want Mercedes to be battling with them though? If you take Christian Horner and Mattia Binotto at their word, then no. They just don't want the rules changed for something that isn't really a problem anymore. Of course, taking any team boss at their word is rarely a good idea. Mercedes have been accused by other teams on the grid of wanting to get the rules changed to give them a competitive advantage. Obviously, every team wants the rules to give them a competitive advantage. That shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. It is Mercedes' guise of wanting change for safety reasons that has annoyed people. Regarding any competitive advantage for Mercedes as a result of what the FIA decided, Toto said, "When you put pressure on the FIA, there is always a potential advantage in everything, and we have done that in the past. But on this issue, I see it very differently. On several occasions, there's been no hesitation in making changes to the regulations for safety issues. Porpoising hasn't really been a safety issue since Baku, since most teams have engineered it out of their cars. There are more street circuits to come though at Singapore and Abu Dhabi, where the issue may rear its ugly head again. I might also add, we have now understood the porpoising problem with our car. We got pole position from the last race," he said after the Hungarian Grand Prix. "But that doesn't change anything. It's irrelevant. We're talking about something that damages the health of the drivers. I strongly believe countermeasures have to be taken to make sure next year this problem will be a distant memory. The FIA has no choice, it has to do something. And I think in the face of this problem, having teams lobbying for or against a measure is completely irrelevant. It is a medical issue and it has to be answered. Like we said earlier, taking team bosses at their word is never advisable, but without proof otherwise, we can't say Toto isn't at least partly thinking of the driver's health. If the Mercedes car does go faster because of the new changes coming in 2023, then that will be a happy side effect for his team. It is a little hypocritical to accuse other teams of lobbying while persistently doing it himself though. Wolff has taken shots at the other team bosses all season, so he probably shouldn't be too surprised that they aren't too keen to get on his side. It was only last month that he came out with this line. There are many team principals now in our sport that are just one-trick ponies that run teams very well. There's no two ways about it. But I think you need to have an ulterior focus in what you do, Wolff said in an interview with Square Mile. I believe that you can only do well when you're able to put your own role, your own team, and the sport into the perspective of the wider world. Not really sure what he was trying to get at here, but calling your peers one-trick ponies is never a great way to get into their good books. What the Toto versus the world saga has done is bring into the question the amount of influence that Toto has in the sport and on the FIA. The extra floor stay that Mercedes fitted in Canada less than 24 hours after the announcement of a technical directive that made it legal was a particular point of interest to many team bosses. The new rule was actually implemented illegally and later delayed and changed, but it did bring the relationship between Mercedes and the FIA into the spotlight. A question that has been asked by a few media outlets now does need some consideration. Is Toto Wolff too powerful in Formula 1? It is a question that is almost impossible to answer without having an inside source that can reveal the secrets of his relationship with the FIA. It is certainly a source that we don't have. Former World Drivers' Champion Mario Andretti certainly seems to think so though. Toto has been outspoken against the Andretti Autosport entry into Formula 1. Mario responded to a tweet posing the question we just did, saying it's something that needs to be highlighted more. Despite all the bickering and finger-pointing going on around his team, Toto still needs to find time to get Mercedes back on track. They're yet to pick up a win this season and are still relying on Ferrari pit stops and reliability problems to get podium finishes. It has been a mixed campaign for Mercedes this term, with the team starting the year off the pace of the leaders Red Bull and Ferrari, but gradually pulling its way back into contention. Such has been the scale of its improvement that Mercedes went into the summer shutdown off the back of 6 consecutive podium appearances, including back-to-back double top 3 results in France and Hungary. Despite its difficult start to the season, Mercedes has scored the same number of top 3 finishes as Ferrari and sit just 30 points behind the Scuderia in the Constructors' Championship. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell also remain in contention for second in the drivers' battle, with the latter trailing current second-place driver Charles Leclerc by 20 points. But the team remains without a win this term, the longest Mercedes has gone since its first victory in 2012. For 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, it is also his longest run from the start of a campaign without a victory. But Wolff has explained that although the team has improved its race pace, until it can unlock qualifying speed on a regular basis, wins will remain hard to come by. He said, "We were strong on the Sundays, but never quite there in qualifying, and the gap was simply too large. So now it is about trying to understand what it is, and in the second half of the season, hopefully increasing our qualifying pace and then be able to race for victories. It might be called a summer break, but Mercedes won't have any time to relax." Well, Lewis might be on his Heritage Discovery Tour of Africa, but the team in the factory definitely won't. Finding those last few tenths of a second of lap time could give Mercedes the speed they need to compete for race wins again. If they can start securing wins before the end of the season, then no matter what happens, the other team bosses can't argue that Mercedes did it with the help of the FIA. Next season though, well, we'll just have to wait and see. Do you think there is an agenda against Mercedes in the paddock, or has Toto brought it upon himself this season? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.